All I see is people standing around. Meanwhile, they be taking our country down. Doesn't matter if you're born white, black, or brown. I hope too you'll soon be getting down. Days, news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. We do the days, news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way.
What is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf, and today's show is going to be packed. We have a ton of news that backed up over the weekend and some shocking developments. So we'll talk about that and more right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. What is going on, guys? It is Adam aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. So just to remind you, if you are new here, you can actually follow along on our website, marfooglenews.com. And remember that you can actually easily navigate this site through the thumbnail. So just look for what is to come. It's a sure thing. Pun intended. Now, when you click on that, you'll see that every single source for every single document, video, picture, of course, archived article that we show you here today will be here on the website. Now, it is very easy to see that the show notes are at the top, and then, of course, there is web-only content at the bottom. That is basically the stuff that is too hot for TV. Once you hit that yellow bar, it is up to your own discretion. And then on the right side, of course, if you do want to support us in any way, we are truly independent. We do not have a multi-channel network or even a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. Again, if you want to support or do a PayPal during the show and have it read out, you can do it over there. Our Amazon and, of course, our affiliates are there as well. And then there are only 2 days left of the EMP Shield giveaway. That is also on there. No purchase necessary to go over there, and there are daily entries. Now, you can enter for the next 2 days, and there are multiple ways to enter. So let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So a lot has transpired over the weekend. We have a ton of different things, but just to give you a little preview of today, the Pentagon is rattled by the Chinese military push on multiple fronts. Basically, the Chinese are basically loading up and putting their military almost everywhere. And even the most hardened skeptics of kind of this are now coming out and saying, okay, this really looks like it's about to go down. When they said a few weeks ago, one of the officials came out and said, oh, I really think that they're even on track to take Taiwan before 2025. I think that was on purpose. I think that they purposely said that to kind of give people this kind of couple-year buffer to make sure that people weren't panicking. But, you know, to be real, honestly, it looks like it's going to be sooner than that. I don't see how people don't see everything that is happening. China is essentially cutting off almost all this different stuff from the U.S. At the same time, because of the shortages due to the everything that's going on right now, there are virtually no containers leaving from China, and then no containers leaving within the United States from the China-owned port into the country. So something might be going on there. Again, I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to imply anything here. But my opinion is that something way bigger is happening here. On top of that, I mean, there's obviously a lot of big stuff going on. There is a complete change in the way that we are living our lives. You guys are just like me. You have families, you have jobs, you have work. You of course have almost the same rules. It doesn't matter where you're watching from. You are most likely under some sort of duress right now. That is something that I feel like it's kind of, I guess it's a horrible way of having a blessing in our lives, because we all have something in common right now. No matter what you believe, what is so crazy is, like, no matter how far and I guess opposite you are from the people you dislike right now, we have more in common than we ever have before. And I mean globally. If you're in Europe or in Australia or in Africa or wherever you may be, it's crazy to think that we have more in common right now than we have ever had in our entire lives. We are all going through the same things, and I think that is a way better reason for us to start getting along and start working together. But that's just me. That's just my thoughts. Put your thoughts down below in the comments. And then, again, thank you for everyone who joined tonight. I appreciate you all. Just want to make sure that I do put on here. I think that, again, lots of stuff to go over. But it says that President B's ESG may stop you from getting a loan or even spending money. It says that the B administration is releasing plans to install a form of social credit score on companies in order to obtain capital. It is a matter of time before this concept also gets forced on individuals. This is kind of what we were talking about with Elon Musk, talking about this bill that was going into play where it would tax on unrealized capital. That unrealized capital was basically money on anything that gained. So if you bought a house and it went up $100,000, even if you didn't sell it, you would have to pay the taxes on that extra $100,000 that it went up. Instead of getting loans on it, you'd most likely not want to get that loan because you're paying taxes on it before you even sell it. And that means that you would have to come up with the taxes if you don't have them. What happens then? Then it just gets tacked onto a bill with interest. It seemed to me like kind of a scam, but anyways, the thing is, Elon said, this is bad for billionaires right now. It would only be for billionaires, but sooner or later it would trickle down to the normal person. It would trickle down to the middle class, and he was right. I don't think there's a way. Once you implement that kind of thing, it is so absurd. Then it makes it easier for you to go down the levels and just kind of put it in and say, we're already doing this. It's already accepted. It's already something we do. It is a crazy, crazy thought. I mean, like, I never thought in my life I would hear something like that. But that's the thing. This is, again, more signs of this. Now, Dex, I'm going to pull you in. We showed that Canada actually had some stuff on their official government websites saying, to companies saying, hey, make sure to prepare for this social credit score. And I believe they were talking about China's social credit score, and everybody was scratching their heads going, why? What is going on here with this social credit score? It's something we've talked about for years. Is this finally coming true, or do you think that this thing will go through?
Yeah, this is the start of it. It's sort of like a soft spooning of it, in the sense that in the capital markets, they're starting to use this thing called ESG, which stands for environmental, social, and governance. And it's actually a measure, in general terms, it's used by investors to evaluate corporate behavior. Looking at the environmental, the social, and the governance of the company. But going down this path, as they're starting to create a score around this, and this score can then be used to rate companies. And if your score is not good, then maybe you're not going to be able to get the capital you need or get the loans you need. But they're looking, at the ESG scores are based on if you're paying above minimum wage, what your CLI Met score is. Anything for gender initiatives, workforce culture, diversity, etc. All these different things make up the score. So if you don't have a good score, then you're not going to be able to get this stuff. So this is the start of it. one of the many things that we've talked about as it comes to the social credit score. And we're seeing this, slowly, whether it's fed in through the mechanisms of the big tech companies and what they're building, or in this case, an actual scoring system that's going to be used for fundraising against businesses. You're starting to see this sort of slowly bleed into everyday life. And as the original headline said, that this could eventually find its way to individuals. This is
a Black Mirror episode. If this sounds familiar, this was the plot for an absurdly over-the-top Babylon B level kind of futuristic take on what was going to happen, where we all get our individual scores on this Black Mirror episode. I believe it's on Netflix. The gentleman, I think it's a gentleman or a woman, has a bad morning and spills coffee on someone, and the person that he spills coffee on, this is just, and I'm paraphrasing because it's been a couple years, but it did work like this, where he spilled coffee on somebody, and then that person rated him, and it was like a 1 out of 5 stars, rated him a star, and then that made his score go down. On the way to work, we'll just take an example. He dinked somebody, dinked the corner of their car. Well, then that person rated him, and it was a 1 star, so it lowered his score. Essentially what happened, by the time he got to work, his social credit score fell below the minimum to get into his office. So they actually had what's really weird is the entrance on that show, kind of the gate, kind of like a subway gate where you pay or you don't get through the bars. It had something just like that, and it declined, and it said, you can't come to work today. Please raise your social credit score. This sounds absurd. This sounds like something that's a fictional show on Netflix, but it is happening. And it's something that many of us, the whole community here, most of you saw this coming. It's not like we have a crystal ball. It's mostly that we've been paying attention to all these little incremental changes. Now, when you pay attention to these incremental changes that are happening and all of these little tiny bills and these things that are changing things, you'll see that there is absolutely a massive change happening in little tiny baby steps. This is bad news for everybody. The thing is it's almost like they've trained people to kind of just get used to everything. Otherwise, what would be the other option?
I mean, there's data out there. I mean, imagine the driver. Just take this as an example: the Uber driver business and the DoorDash business, right? People rate these people individually based on, their friendliness or whether or not they handled your food correctly or any of those things. All of that is data, and it's actually against an individual, and all of that information could eventually be compiled in. Like you could 2 years from now, they could look back and see that you were like the worst Uber driver with this poor attitude, and you never brought the food correctly, and all of a sudden add that up and ding you on past data, let alone new data that's coming in from, as all of these new tools start to come out and new things come out, like, oh, you don't set your thermostat to the correct temperature and you waste too much power in your house, right? Or you should be conserving more electricity. So you don't follow the norms. So we're going to ding you on that too, right?
The example in China was if you left your bike on the sidewalk, your score can go down. This is actually already happening in China. Dex and I have covered this for the last, 3 years now, where it is you get enough marks, you can't buy a plane or train ticket. Now, you think that that's extreme now, just wait a year. And I mean that. Like, this isn't something that's 50 years out. This is something that's already here. It's the back work for this, and the back doors are being opened, and this is sneaking into every little bit. And you're going to remember this show in a couple years from now, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, all this stuff came true. Again, we don't have a crystal ball. We're watching them do this, and they're doing it in these baby steps. So, and then next, we're going to be talking about the NASA chief, Bill Nelson, latest official to suggest UFOs have otherworldly origins. I actually thought that Tyler from Secure Team did a good job on a video on this, essentially taking the clips where he talked about this. I wonder if it has the actual quote here from one of his spots. Yes, okay. I'll read this first part. It says, in a freewheeling October 19th discussion on space policy, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson spoke passionately about his agency's mission to seek out life beyond Earth. In his comments, Nelson pivoted almost immediately to a series of U.S. military encounters with mysterious flying objects, many of which appeared to maneuver in extraordinary ways, and it says, in restricted airspace. After speaking with several of the naval aviators who observed the unknown craft, NASA's chief is convinced that the pilots, quote, saw something and their radars locked onto it. Asked to speculate about the nature of the phenomenon, Nelson, an Army veteran, former senator, and ex-astronaut, responded, "Who am I to say that the planet Earth is the only location of a life form that is civilized and organized like ours?" That was the key point, and also Tyler pointed out that's a very strange way to put it. I've never heard somebody put it exactly like that and use those kind of combination of words. Who am I to say the planet Earth is the only location for life form that is civilized and organized like ours? So not only saying that it's technologically advanced or it's civilized, it is also organized like ours, like it has a similar setup, like a hierarchy or something, right? It's just a weird way, like almost like he knew what is going on. Remember, this is an ex-astronaut and a former senator, so he is basically as in as you can get. He's been in the government. He has been in the space, I guess the space government, if you want to call it, the NASA kind of group, and then now is the chief. It says, as surprising as his answer may be, Nelson is only the latest high-level official to hint that UFOs may have otherworldly explanations. Another quote that he said in this is talking about another universe, and I thought that was just scientifically kind of assumed, or that mainstream even, considers there's universe and there's tons of universe, but I guess they were talking about galaxies. Dex, do you know what I'm talking about? Like, we're in the universe, and there's our galaxy, and then millions and trillions of galaxies outside of ours. He said something that I think people should be locked onto. The fact that he said that there may be other universes. I don't think people are actually, talking about that part.
Well, I think that goes hand in hand with the people that follow like the parallel universe theory, right? And if there's multiple parallel universes happening, then they're all different universes.
And by the way, this is a rabbit hole that any of you can go downhole, go downwind and downhole. If you actually look at some of the smartest minds in the world and look at their theories on the multiverse, and I'm not talking about what we are actually seeing with Marvel, X-Men, and the Avengers. I'm talking about a real theory that actually has a lot of crazy things behind it. Now, even if you are a Christian and believe in the Bible, I think that there is room in the Bible for there to be multiple universes. I have seen pastors talk about how that would be a possibility, but when you actually look at the scientific part of it, or at least it's at least convincing enough that it's like, wow. And these are not regular geniuses. We're talking about this is a group of people that are just on a different level in light. I mean, like, just completely out there. Now, some would hear what they are saying and think this is crazy, but they have come up with formulas and things that somehow would explain it, right? But most humanity, if they did have this come upon them, they would say, this is not good stuff, or this is BS, or whatever else. I would just say, look into it yourself and see what you think about what they're saying. Look up multiverse, and you'll see there's a lot of crazy, crazy studies going on. And now, slowly, the scientific community is like leaning towards this. And now we've got the NASA chief not only saying that there's life and whatever, or possibly life and organized civilizations like our own, but also talking about another universe. That is what I really tripped out about. I want to say thank you real quick. Machina Opus from Australia says, either put on these glasses or start eating the trash can. Either put on these glasses or start eating that trash can. Are you talking about They Live? I think that's a line from They Live, or They're Alive. Anyways, from Roddy Piper talking to what's-his-face. And then Sol Rosenberg, base James Carville. It's a Zulu Oscar Golf. Stupid. Zog. And then we've got Seth Covington. Thank you so much. That huge. Seth Covington, thank you for the $49.99 super chat. Appreciate that. Again, that's not necessary, but thank you so much, Seth. And then that Gen X dude, I believe in parallel universe. Look up instead of down. That Gen X dude, if you look into it, I mean, it's just the same with any kind of theory that's out there that has a lot of people behind it. There's a lot of stuff that makes you scratch your head. And then as far as all of the other encounters that have happened, they talk about this. It says, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. It says, queried about the Navy's encounters with UFOs, former CIA Director John Brennan speculated that the objects might constitute a different form of life. Channeling Clinton, Obama, and now NASA's Nelson, Brennan stated that it's a bit presumptuous and arrogant for us to believe that there's no other form of life anywhere in the entire universe. In much the same vein, former CIA Director James Woolsey, a longtime UFO skeptic, recently signaled openness to the possibility that such encounters have otherworldly explanations. This is nuts. And by the way, this is on a tail. Dex, I don't think I forgot to tell you to get this New York Times article in. Did you see the New York Times article talking about, maybe you did. Let's see.
We got the next one. I think is the New York Times article.
Oh,
about
yes.
Openness.
Okay, great. Yeah. I'm glad we got this in the show because it's really important this time to understand the source of the actual story. So, as far Dex, do you want to hit on NASA chief at all before we go? Because this next one's crazy.
I think the next story is really interesting because you put these two together really, and you start talking about the whole timing notion of aliens and timing. It's really interesting.
They, for whatever reason, they sent William Shatner up in space with that whole thing, and he was interviewed on Today, and this is separate, but I want to bring this up too. This is just in the last week. We had one of the princes from the royal family, was it Prince William, basically get on the case of all of these billionaires, saying, I wish they would fix the problems here instead of trying to get off of Earth. Essentially kind of I guess stating that he thinks that they should fix it instead of desert the planet. That's how he made it sound, like they're trying to get off the planet because this planet is about to go south, like bad. Then you had William Shatner in the same day, I think it was like the next day or the day after, basically say that there's a coming catastrophe. And Dex, I don't know if we.
He said coming catastrophic event.
Yes. Oh, that's even worse.
Like a specific event, like a specific time, like one thing was going to happen.
And catastrophic is, if by definition, catastrophe is something weather related, something planet related. If you look it up, the definition in Webster, it's basically any just kind of extreme weather event or flooding or a meteor or something that happens, right? And he spoke about it just casually, and it's almost like, he kind of blew the lid off of something. And again, I guess you could call this reaching, right? But then you have this happen. You've got the NASA chief saying this. You've got Brennan saying this. You've got all this other speculation. Then you have the New York Times. Now, this could all be propaganda to get us all focused on this. But again, why for the last few years has this been such a huge topic? Check this out. It said, would Russia or China help us if we were invaded by space aliens? This is the New York Times. This isn't the Sun. This isn't Express. This isn't the tabloids. This isn't the National Enquirer. This is the New York Times. Why is New York Times running a story or an opinion piece, an op-ed like this? It says, in a recent essay on great power competition and climate change, Rob Litwak, an arms control expert at the Wilson Center, recalled a question that President Ronald Reagan posed to Mikhail Gorbachev, the Soviet leader, after they took a walk during their 1985 Lake Geneva summit. It says, as Gorbachev put it later, President Reagan suddenly said to me, "What would you do if the United States were suddenly attacked by someone from outer space? Would you help us?" I said, "No doubt about it." He said, "We too." So that's interesting, Gorbachev concluded. It sure is, because it's not at all clear, given the recent upsurge in raw great power competition, that Russia, China, or America would help one another in the face of an invasion of space aliens threatening us all. Litwak's point in retelling that story, of course, is that today we are facing a similar world-stressing threat. Not from space aliens, but from a much more familiar and once seemingly benign force, our climate. Now, they're putting this in a certain frame. They're framing this alongside the change, right? And from now on, we'll just call it the change, okay? Because if you hit that, then it all of a sudden grabs onto you and says, well, you can't do that. You can't talk about it. You can't question it. Going back and not going off subject to change, why is all of this happening at this point? Why did Reagan say that? And then, of course, that is also the same president that has the famous speech, almost like it was when he was filled in on something, that said, essentially, what would be us people if we had to come together as a common person against a common enemy? If some life form from beyond this earth or whatever, and I'm paraphrasing. Do we need something from out of space to put us all together? If you know the speech, then you know the speech. If you don't, again, we could try to link that. I think that's good. That's kind of a good backstory to this article. But I, again, think that is really strange. And I didn't know about this whole Gorbachev thing, where it was this whole exchange. Would you help us if something happened? And that is especially kind of odd, considering that we've all thought that the U.S. may have had some sort of connection or some sort of contact with somebody since the 50s. A lot of people think that they've been working with aliens for this whole time, that possibly they gave us tech in exchange for something else, which, again, that was another theory that's been floating around like crazy. This is like super weird. I mean, we are in the Twilight Zone. We are literally in the Twilight Zone.
And Adam, of course, there is the theory that you could create an event that was based on something coming from space, but really wasn't, right? To then turn around and unify the world, right?
The biggest FF ever or something?
Exactly.
By the way, I just realized I forgot to tweet out, guys. Make sure to take that tweet if you can, if you have a second device there. Make sure to share out the show. And if you're not following us over on Twitter, make sure to go over to @Marfoogle on Twitter and follow, because then you can actually get the notification. Now, that's actually the first time that I have not tweeted the second we went live. We actually have a checklist, and I pushed it, but it didn't go through. Twitter's been doing that a lot lately. I've been having so many issues with Twitter, like not sending my tweets. So I've been getting messages lately too, saying, "Hey, I think you're shadow banned," because they tried to click on my thing and they couldn't. It marked several of my tweets where it can only the people that I tag can reply, even though that's something you actually physically have to select. But somehow it keeps getting selected. I'm purposely like looking at it and going, "Don't select that option." So weird. Let's see here. And then, by the way, thank you. That Gen X dude again says, "Wow, I think we just mind melded Marv." That's awesome. And then Seth Covington, space weather is something to pay attention to. Well, there are many in this group, I'm assuming too, that follow people like Suspicious Observers, that have looked into the work of him and others that say that the sun is behind all of the catastrophes of Earth. We are in solar cycle 25. We're in a situation where this one could send us back to the dark ages. If a Carrington level event hit us, we would be screwed. That Gen X dude again, thank you. And then Rusty88, thank you so much for your support and the super sticker. And then Steve Wilson, thank you so much for popping in. Over on D-Live, I just want to say a special thank you to Zippy Moons. Says, crazy evening. I'll catch a replay. Lifting you up. Positive vibes from Nebraska. Oh, yeah. It's snowing here. It's crazy. It's winter already. It feels like it was just summer. And then Lisa K23. Zippy Moons, nice car. Sorry, it's snowing already. Yeah, that's like super sad. Every year, we kind of go through that thing where it's, where it's like, oh, it's almost the end of summer. Oh, it's almost the end of this. It's almost the end of that. And every season just passes by so fast now. Well, we'll probably talk about that in a future episode. We actually may be experiencing time in a faster fashion because of something that's happening to Earth. Pretty weird stuff. So what do you guys think about, of course, the New York Times doing a story like this? Again, make sure to go read the rest of it over on Marfoogle News. Dex, is there anything else you wanted to point out from that story? I know that it talks about China's president.
No, I think it's just interesting the timing of the alien information, how it's going to continue to be pushed. And now we're seeing this push in the media around conflict between the major players, but then they turn around, let's put something out like this. Like, how do we bring everybody together around one single event?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like there's something. It's almost like we also had in mainstream and in all science, they say that there's something out in space that is pulling objects in, that it has a gravity, but they can't see the actual object that is pulling these objects in. You can look this up. This is something that has now been talked about. And there are things getting pulled into a gravity for an object they can't see. One thing that I want to point out is that obviously there's things like that. It's almost like this is almost like there's something big here that we can't see, but is affecting everything. In the same fashion that they're talking about this object out in space, it's kind of like there's something here on Earth, some sort of secret that is right there in front of us that we can't see. Do you guys agree or do you disagree? Love to hear your opinions. Rip Curl Readiness is in the house. By the way, if you guys haven't checked out his channel, he's awesome. He's been a long-time mod. He's just genuinely a good guy. No matter what kind of drama is going on, he sticks right in the middle and protects everybody. He's a good guy. He even, just genuinely good guy. If you guys haven't subscribed to my mod, make sure to go over and do so. And then we have a secret RQ-180 stealth drone spotted over Area 51. Kind of odd, all the timing on this. It says this was the third photographic encounter with the secret flying wing drone, leaving little doubt as to its existence. This is what we're talking about, and a lot of people said before that it is a stealth boomer, and I'm saying boomer on purpose, but this is I guess it's kind of in the same sort of design, but they say from some angles it actually looks like a saucer because you can't see the wings. This actually may explain other things like other sightings where they see, if you look at it right now, in fact, the middle of it looks like a saucer. Now, the right lighting, if something was reflecting, it would almost look like there is nothing there. I could see seeing this kind of jetting through the sky and thinking this is something else. What if this isn't our technology? What if we actually based the original boomer, which my grandma actually worked on directly, my grandpa and my grandma. My grandma was an engineer at Boeing, and they worked on this. And she actually said something before when I was a little kid, and I remember my grandpa would not talk about this, or my grandma wouldn't talk about this until like the very end of their life. My grandpa never said anything. My grandma said something though that said that it was just like all of a sudden we had all of these really high-tech objects, and I thought that was really unique. She said that Boeing all of a sudden had this like spurge of technology. So I thought that was kind of weird. Like, it makes me think, like, maybe what if something was handed to us or something was given to us? Maybe this is actually a design based on their designs. Just a thought. But it apparently has been sighted. A lot of people are saying that it looks like the B-2. If it is a B, even if it was a B-2, that would be freaky. It says a year after the apparent first sighting of what is very likely to be the Air Force's so-called RQ-180, a very stealthy flying wing surveillance aircraft above the Mojave Desert, what looks like to be the very same aircraft has now been photographed over Area 51, the clandestine flight center deep within the Nevada test and training range. While we still don't know absolute certain the details surrounding this craft, or even its official designation, the latest appearances follows from a previous sighting over the Philippines in September. So here's what I want to say, though, so we're about to talk about how China is actually, officials are saying that they're using our own technology against us. Since this is really hard to pick up on radar, but you can physically see it in some ways, what if this was a stolen China plane flying over our Area 51, seeing what we're up to? That's just a thought. Maybe it got through our radars and was flying over. I mean, they're doing all sorts of other things and sending fractional orbital bombardment systems around Earth. Who says that they couldn't? I guess, could we detect this? If Dex, do you think we could detect it if China came over? I mean, isn't that the purpose of these things, that they are really hard to spot with radar?
Well, yeah, they're really hard to spot because they just look like something orbiting in the upper atmosphere.
See, I just I wonder if that was somebody spying on us, or if now we are being spied on. So we've always thought of this for the last 10 years, thought about a predator in the United States. There was always a debate, like if we would have these surveillance drones that we had in the Middle East flying over us here in the United States, people would get really, edgy about that. I mean, think about it. We don't want to be surveilled. These things can zoom into the newspaper print while you're on a park bench and read the headlines. So the whole thing is a deployment of these things in the States is something that nobody has wanted. And people have been vocal about it and said, we don't want military deployed in the United States. We're not, you don't want that. What if this is their way of actually deploying something to monitor us? What if this thing is flying above all 50 states? What if they have multiple of these monitoring us? Just a thought as well. Dex, do you think that this is worrisome? Are these things armed, by the way? Or are these a lot smaller than the B-2 boomers? Do we know?
No, we don't know I don't know the actual size of them. I think people have got a lot of speculation on the RQ-180, but it is obviously an unidentified as far as being publicly released or any information coming out about it. It's just been a lot of speculation around it.
Huh. Again, thank you for the 3,600 that are already popped in here. I really appreciate each and every one of you that has popped in over to YouTube and then over on DLive. Thank you, everybody. And just to be real, thank you guys for... I've had a really rough month. Dex has had some stuff happen. Of course, his Miss Dex ended up breaking her leg, which, by the way, do you have an update on that? Is she in her second cast or first cast yet, or?
We're in the second cast and awaiting the third and then possibly fourth, and then possibly a boot or surgery, depending on how it goes.
And
so,
if
prayers are still needed,
if the surgery ends up happening, that's something. I guess something that people don't really talk about in this world is we are self-employed, so something like that can just rip us apart. Especially if you are self-employed or you own your own business, when you don't have the proper insurance, something like that can be out of pocket, or you just don't get it done. That's what I hate about this United States medical system. It's really just absolutely absurd.
Well, even with this insurance that you can go buy that some former president put out for us, it can still cost you an arm and a leg by the time you pay for it. So yeah,
it shouldn't cost $90,000, or I think it was $140,000. That person that got bit by a rattlesnake or got bit by a snake, for the anti-venom and for the treatment, one single stay in the ER, and it wasn't like days or anything, it was like $140,000. If you cut off a finger, it is now like $50,000 for the surgery to put it back together. Most of this is like the equipment that they're using or something, and then it's also for the insurance that they have. So just in case they screw up and mess your finger up, that insurance is what it's this insurance. I mean, it really goes back up to the insurance into the racket, man. And it's wrong. So I just want to say that my point is, though, is after hardship and drama and all the stuff that goes on, you guys are here every night. And I just want to say thank you to everybody, including my mods. Make sure to respect the mods, even if you're thinking, maybe they're just grumpy or they're being I kind of think about it like sometimes like they deal with a lot of people that are just kind of being crappy. So understand that they may be able to make a mistake. I try to think of it that way because I was in Walmart the other day, and one of the employees just started cussing people out for no reason. And it's bad customer service, everything else. But after, getting to know a few of these people, I have seen the stuff that they deal with. There's literally a website devoted to the people of Walmart. I try to put myself in the shoes of people, and I there's no excuse for horrible, or swearing at customers, telling them to get out right at the closing time and all that. But you have to think, like, put yourself in their shoes for a day. When we were talking smack to all these other people, it's like most of it's reflective of what's going on in our life. We're all having problems right now. Again, like I said, we have more in common right now than ever before. Anybody you are seeing on the bus, they're going through the same rules that you are, especially if you're in the same city. These people are all going through the same crap you are. So just keep that in mind. Like, we can all disagree on our opinions. We can think everybody else is a jerk or anything, any number of names. But that doesn't mean that we can't at least have a couple hours a day where we decompress and we talk about this kind of stuff and have fun. So I just thank everybody for being here. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you guys, and I can't say it enough. I wish we had our Discord still. It really hurts. Like, so much bull. I was just looking at a picture that was posted. It was a meeting that was in Michigan, and they had like 20 people together meeting in a kitchen, and they had kids and whole families, and everybody was meeting and talking under the channel. And basically they were just having fun and talking about what may come, getting prepared, all this kind of stuff. And it's just, it made me sad, to say the least. So thank you, everybody that has stuck through us, the people, the names, the screen names that are still here, those people behind those screen names, I appreciate you. And then Dex, so before we go into UK's online safety bill could spell jail time for trolls, which that's funny. This is like crazy timing. Before we go over that, I do want to remind you, again, there is an actual place, a one-stop shop for all of your prepping needs. If you do want to get prepped up, and this is something that you are already thinking of doing or have been thinking about, the cool thing about this is it's a one-stop shop for everything from iodine pills to 3 months supplies of food, really good food. There's everything you can think of. All the gadgets for survival, all the books, all of the emergency radios, the battery banks, the power supplies, the water filtration, which is going to be the most important thing ever. The reason why they say 90% of us will perish if the lights go out is because we won't have access to water. That, I think, is the one most important part. But if you're already doing this, if you do end up going through this, this is through My Patriot Supply, you will actually help us at the same time. It will not cost you anything more, and it actually may give you a discount. For example, the 3 month supply of food is $100 off right now, and it helps us out. They send us a commission for sending you over there. That's how the ecosystem works. That's how you can support your favorite YouTuber. Most YouTubers have affiliates. We believe that this will actually help. I guarantee you, at some point, somebody's life will be saved by this. If it's not a world-ending event, it might be a snow-in of 7 days and they didn't get food before it happened. Something like Texas happens and somebody has this kind of food sticking around. It may save a life in a regular situation, not a world-ending one. Or if power goes out, or rolling blackouts in California, or an earthquake in the Midwest, or an earthquake in California, something like that. So I think this is a win-win for everybody. Again, the affiliates that we choose for a reason. We believe that it will help people, it will help their health, or it could possibly save their lives. So I appreciate each and every one of you that have already gone over to any of them. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. Not only will you be helping us, but you might just save some dough on what you already most likely want or need. All right, Dex, let's talk about this. So what is this online safety bill?
Yeah, so let me talk about it, because apparently it failed to load correctly on our back end. But it's kind of short and sweet. But what is happening is lawmakers in the UK are considering making it illegal to post certain content online that causes emotional, psychological, or physical harm to the likely audience, and that's in quotes, likely audience, and punishing the violators with jail time, according to the Sunday Times. So according to them, the bill will outlaw threatening communications as well as knowingly false communications, which spread information that would be considered false with the intent to cause emotional, psychological, or physical harm. Very broad law, right? When you think
vague.
about it. Very vague. And then the emphasis on the experience of the receiver. So in other words, what is the audience feeling?
In their opinion.
Or what are the harmful effects that may happen to the audience that the message has? So they're literally looking at jail time in this law. It's part of a new update to the digital law that and it's called an online safety bill that they're creating over there.
Okay,
in the
Dex.
UK. So
this is okay. So anybody in the UK, Jam, or anybody else that's in the UK right now, you need to wake up. And this is my opinion. I'm not telling you what to do, but I would highly recommend you get some feelings about this, because guess what? This will come full circle around the planet if people don't pay attention. So this online safety bill, like we said, is not only vague, but it has some implications here. Now, as much as I don't like trolls, and we get them a lot, we get people, and I don't even like calling them trolls. They're people having a bad day. They're people that don't like me. They think I'm ugly. Maybe I bug them. I don't know. Or they think I'm full of shit. Whatever it is, I don't like them, but I think they're a necessary. I think they're a necessary thing. One. Some of the biggest trolls that used to come through are now people that watch the show, because they, just like anybody, you probably know somebody you didn't like at first, or you absolutely hated them, and now you're best friends. Maybe they were your best man at your wedding. This is something that will really, really, really affect you. If this goes through, this is where, like we said, it's up to the receiving party. So if you are offended by something, you can therefore say it's hurting you. And therefore, that person could end up not only getting taken off of social media platforms, but also get jail time. And then that silences people. Trolls may be saying something that's true, but guess what? There is no true. There's fact-checked and not fact-checked. There can be something that's opinion-wise true, but it's not true in the eyes of an opinion. Now, fact checks are mostly opinion. They fact check opinions, and if that's considered false, therefore, if it's false and it's been checked, therefore it can hurt somebody. Then all of a sudden you get into the legal playground of somebody getting arrested for speaking their mind. This is scary. People need to wake up in the UK. My opinion is that you need to have some feelings about this and grassroots something or whatever, because can't really do anything on many of the platforms. Just saying, I would say, speak your mind, call the appropriate people in your province or city or your town or whatever, and tell them, hey, we don't want this.
Well, and on that note, Adam, here in America, tomorrow or today, as some of us are in the time change has already happened, or the date change has already happened, is the second Tuesday of November. So that means it's one of those dates that we can't say the name of, but you go out and you punch the paper. This is one of those dates that most people don't even think twice about, but a lot of things that are happening here locally, or at least where you live locally, are probably happening, and you might miss the opportunity to affect change. So when, the masses show up every 4 years and a little bit every 2 years, it's all the other stuff that happens in between that you need to think about as well.
Well, people don't pay attention to these little things or the little bills or the little changes in these laws, and they end up getting screwed because of it. They are making incremental changes every single day now, and people are not doing anything. They've got you so distracted on the daily kind of grind, the 9 to 5 grind, and then talk about what the daily thing is. Otherwise, you won't be popular. The water cooler talk is always, Alec Baldwin can take up 2 weeks of news. People are going to talk about that for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? The news cycle, they know that your attention span is much shorter. So that's why I do appreciate the people that stick around for 2 hours on this show. There's few of you that can stick around the whole 2 hours, but I thank you because you still have an attention span. But they know it used to be when I was a kid, even, and just in the 90s and 2000s, and I'm sure before that, they would circle. It was especially around the 2000s. They would play a story for months. Do you guys remember that? Dex, I don't know if you remember that, but news used to circle the same story, and it was on repeat. It was 24 hours. CNN and Fox had the same talking points, and it was rotated for 24/7. And they would just go into different little details of it, and it would be a rotating 24-hour circle. Now they're a little bit different because they realize that they've got to grab the newest thing on Twitter. So I don't know. I think things are changing now, and they've got you so distracted you're not seeing what's happening. More supply chain problems lead to limited furnace supply. This is probably the 35th thing that we've seen a shortage on, and crazy enough, I just had the furnace looked at. It's a 15-year-old furnace, had the motor changed and everything else in our house.
I think the real message here is there's going to be a supply shortage of just about anything. So if you have something that you might need in a month or two, start planning it now, because it may take you that month or two to get it, right? And, for the people way up north, they probably already need a furnace. But for those of you that are a little further south, if it's time to check your furnace, check it now. Don't wait till the temperature actually drops, right?
Well, as I was about to say, the furnace part, the motor, it took 6 months to get. It was an actual part. And if this would have happened, the problem would have started and it was clunk, 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 right now, we would have been looking past winter to get our heater fixed. I mean, that's where this comes into important. Dex, we could have sat all through the winter without any heat. Well, I mean, we could buy little heaters, but...
Well, yeah, but see, there you go. We could buy little heaters, but I promise you right now, if there's a furnace shortage, there's going to be a little heater shortage. So if you think you want to have a backup, you better have it now. It's sort of like when the hurricane hits and everybody needs generators, where you can't get them anymore, right? You need to get your generator before the hurricane hits. So you got to do a lot of planning in advance. So with the way things are happening with our supply chain for the next at least year, maybe even longer, right? So this is it's an obvious article. We could insert, anything here. Laptops are going to be hard to get, right? Or, insert your favorite product. But, these things save lives. Warmth is something we need, especially where you live, if you live in an area that's very cold, right? So
yeah,
pay attention, guys.
And watch, there could be rolling blackouts in a city that doesn't have rolling blackouts. There are going to be power shortages. We showed you. They're telling us that there are going to be energy crisis, energy crisis, right? I think that's plural for crisis, right?
Yeah, we already talked about the not natural, but liquid propane, a version of it, right?
Yep.
42% capacity going into winter. 42% of what we should have.
Can
right?
you explain? Can you explain why that matters to most? Why?
Yeah. So there's plenty of people out there that have a propane tank because they don't have natural gas, but maybe they like having gas, and that's their form of heating, right? So they buy propane, they come and they fill up these giant tanks, not just the ones on your gas grill, but people have this in their house or beside their house or buried in the ground, right? Well, we as in our government and our, the conglomerates that own all this sold most of our propane in trade, exported it out of the country because there was so much demand, and left us with 42% of our capacity. In other words, what we normally have going into winter, we only have 42% of it. So we're walking into the beginning of winter with an extreme shortage on this, which means the prices are going to go through the roof.
And you may not be affected by that directly, but also there's other shortages that are, especially in the UK. There were other things that happened. One of your main power lines that connected France, I believe, to the UK, that line was severed somehow. Something happened with that, and it was cutting, I think, your power supply by as much as 40%. So they told you that there are going to be issues, right? There's going to be these shortages, massive shortages of power. We just had, of course, a CEO of one of the biggest, Blackstone, not BlackRock, not to be confused with BlackRock, another evil corporation. Blackstone, one of the CEOs of this big power company or big power energy thing, said that there will be real unrest on the planet due to energy crisis. That he believes it's likely that we will see planetary-wide unrest, social unrest, because of energy crisis. This is stuff that normal people that are doing the 9 to 5, that are talking about the Baldwin. It's okay to talk about the Alec Baldwin stuff, but make sure you're paying attention to this backdoor stuff. This is the back burner stuff that goes quietly and just kind of sneaks by, and then all of a sudden you wake up one day and you're at the grocery store and they're like, "Oh, sir, you have to show us ID to get to get diapers." It's a law. We made it a law. You didn't know? Everybody's been talking about it. Yeah, just happened today. You got to have ID. You have to be over 21 to buy diapers. President B put it in himself. He, don't think he was all there, but I mean, it makes sense in some ways, I guess. Some people need adult diapers. Diane Moses, thank you. I appreciate your support. And, of course, Machina Opus, again, thank you. Project Exodus. Whoa! Project Exodus, thank you. Thank you, everybody, especially Project Exodus. And, again, Seth Covington, you guys going above and beyond. Says, as always, thanks for what you guys do. Gonna have to watch a replay. Don't forget to like the video, guys. All the replay watchers. No reason we can't get 20,000 likes on a video. Project Exodus, I never understood that. If there's 60,000 views every single day, how is there not at least a third of you that can't swing your mouse up, or even less, put your thumb on that like button? But again, maybe you don't like the show. Maybe you just watch it and hate it. I don't know. Then press the dislike button. Catherine Wilson, hold the line, stand firm, Ephraim 6:11:20. And then Saul Rosenberg says rapture is after the tribulation, Matthew 24:29-31, parallel in Mark 13. Luke 21:1-4 says, and Rev 6 for starters, don't be deceived by false messiah. And then Cloaked Cloud, Saul Rosenberg, again, I don't know about Thessalonians. I don't remember that part, but the Revelation 6 I do. Saul Rosenberg, again, thank you. Cloaked Cloud, thank you. That Gen X dude says Black Knight satellite, ? Talking about the, of course, the object. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about Black Knight satellite? Tell me in the comments below. Do you believe in the Black Knight satellite, or do you think it is a urban myth? Remember the 5th of November, that Gen X dude says. Yes, I know. It's crazy. Hold the line. Again, thank you, and thank you. And then Brave New Stacker, Wendy A. Presley, Mosten Vid 420. Is that really? Mosten Vid 420. Thank you so much for subscribing. Everybody that just joined us, I appreciate you guys. Supply chain problems, again, we're going to keep covering every little thing about that. Remember, stock up now. Don't wait until you are in freezing temperatures to go get your stuff, because you might be stuck. Kind of like my brother-in-law was last year in Texas. If you guys know that story, a Foogle fam member who I did not know ended up having my brother-in-law not only drove an hour and a half to pick him up from a hotel that said he was not allowed to stay there because their water and their power went out. Went an hour and a half, picked him up, and brought him back to his home and had him stay with him because my brother-in-law was on a business trip, and there was nothing that his job could do. There was no hotels that would take him. So don't get yourself stuck in a situation like that. American Airlines reduces flight cancellations, but staffing challenges continue to disrupt travel. Dex, I have a personal story about this as far as my aunt and uncle just got back. You would not believe this. And I think I could not believe this. I almost want to have my aunt call in. Coming back from Las Vegas. Coming back from Las Vegas, and it was one of those layover flights. They ended up spending 18 hours in the Las Vegas airport, which is kind of a flashback. When I was 14 on a family trip with them, we spent a whole day in the Las Vegas airport, which if you've ever spent an hour there, then you know it's an impossible place to sleep. There's literal, pull machines that are everywhere dinging and making noises, and we could not find a single place where we could find quiet to sleep in the lobby. But they were just trapped again. They not only got boarded onto a plane, sat on the tarmac for a few hours, then got pulled off. They were sitting on the tarmac. They said, these guys came over, the maintenance people, and they said, sorry, the maintenance, we have to do more maintenance on this plane. Put them on a second plane. Then they said, oh, sorry, this has more maintenance to do. Then they put them on a third plane. For 18 hours, they got moved from plane to plane to plane, and they sat on the tarmac that entire time. And they said it was due to maintenance. Let me ask you this. I'll just do a quick poll. Do you think that was maintenance? If you think that was due to maintenance, press 1. If you think that was due to something else, press 2. I bet we'll see the majority push one of those. Dex, do you want to talk about this as far as what you think?
Well, it's interesting. They throw in the high winds, but then, obviously when you look into it, it's really staff shortages that make up the majority of their cancellations. So we saw this with Southwest. Now we're seeing, this is the beginning of the month, right? A lot of things are starting to happen on the beginning of the month. So, it'd be interesting to see if this happens again tomorrow, or if it was just a one-day event. But I would be shocked if we don't hear more of this. And we've got other stories like this in other sectors of the world in our economy that are being affected by the things that are happening starting November 1st, right? So all of these cancellations obviously affected, I want to say 136,000 customers. That's pretty significant.
Obviously, a lot of people either have to do something or leave. We are covering more stuff here again. Multiple cities are just left with nobody. My city in particular is actually, by the way, almost everybody pushed 2, but again, you guys saw that for yourself. They are so desperate, they did an emergency order, and they call it an emergency order. My state, Washington, did an emergency order to pay people $25,000 for lateral hires for the police department, or $10,000 for new hires. So I guess you'll get paid more if you go from accounting into being a police officer. Isn't that what lateral hire means, Dex? That means that it's from inside the company.
Yeah, usually.
So if you're a desk person, or you are, a janitor that already works for the police department, you'll get paid $25,000 bonus to be a police officer. And if you are a new hire, you just get $10,000. And I thought, wow, that's weird. They're paying the lateral hires more, but it makes sense. Basically,
the lateral is the same position, not necessarily in the same company, but if you took the same role from one place to another, you're not bumping up or moving up.
Well, so wait, would that mean that they're trying to get cops from other places here, or they're trying to lateral? I guess, okay, I get it. Well, I mean, new hires get basically $10,000, and it's not like this is a company thing. This is an emergency order that is put into place. That shows you we have no cops. Right now, we have had so much crime just in my neighborhood, it's insane. And we're not in a bad neighborhood. We're having all sorts of things go down. If you download the Neighbors app or the Nextdoor app, you will see, even if you are in a nice neighborhood, I mean, we're seeing crackheads with machetes sitting on porches, looking in windows, people checking windows, people doing all this. I mean, it's like the Purge or something. That's what it feels like. I mean, if you really follow what's going on in your neighborhood, you'll see it. Everywhere is happening. It's not just the bad neighborhoods. It's not just the ghettos. I mean, there's always crime, but I mean, it's now people are not getting arrested for it. People are not getting charged. On top of that, there's no police to even arrest them for the night to put them off the street temporarily. There's no police. There's no firemen. Think about the people that will actually die, physically die, because there is no a lack of firemen, or maybe the fire department doesn't respond for an extra 25 minutes, or doesn't even respond for another 5 minutes. Even that 5 minutes could be the difference between somebody living and dying. And people are going to blame them? Don't know. I don't know if you can. And then we have Ghislaine Maxwell appears at pretrial hearing as judge rejects series of motions. Dex, do you want to cover this one?
Yeah, so it was interesting. They were trying to, and I don't know if you saw in another case that's really popular right now, they were trying to say what words could be used, like could they use the word victim or not, and things like that. And they were trying to get a couple of words not used, like minor, and I can't remember the other one. And then the other one I heard about this was she actually had to crawl into a van on her hands and knees. So I don't know. It was basically the way she was cuffed, and maybe she wasn't cooperating correctly or whatnot. But yeah, there's some, it was kind of interesting story about what's going on here and what's up with her. She's still in the throes of this trial, so we'll have to hear more about. I don't think they've actually started yet. There's still all the pretrial stuff going on, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot is actually happening as we speak with that trial.
But it will be moving soon, because it sounds like they're doing jury selection around the middle of the month, this month. So, and I guess they're targeting opening statements for the end of the month. But, it's interesting to talk about jury selection. We've got that big trial here in Georgia that's a very controversial trial, and they're like on 10 days of jury selection. And then you've got the other one for the kid up in Wisconsin. If you know who I'm talking about, I'm trying not to say the names. You guys in chat know exactly who I'm talking about on both of them. Apparently, they got the jury selected on that in one day. So it's kind of funny how these jury selections work from court to court or state to state.
It is. Let me pull over again. Thank you everybody that has stuck with us this long. Gonna pop in a message from Tom Homan.
My name is Tom Homan. I'm the former ICE director under President Donald Trump, and I'm here to ask America to wake up. You can protect yourself, and at the same time protect this great nation. The threat of electromagnetic pulse is real, EMP. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's a matter of life and death.
Today we're talking.
Don't know what happened there, but that's okay. Sorry, Prepsteaders. That was Tom Homan, former ICE director, and I'll just, for those of you that are new,
protect you against the EMP. I highly encourage you to go to EMPshield.com and research this device. Again, it will protect you, in the long term, protect this great nation. Thank you.
So the reasoning behind, if you are new here, we've shown exactly why we believe everyone should be protecting themselves. In fact, one of my friends posted to me after the solar storm that just happened, basically said that the show was helpful, and he said he forgot one thing is tinfoil hat, right? He asked if things should be unplugged or plugged in. One thing is if we actually get the real deal, like X5, X6 solar storm, a Carrington level event, or an EMP, it's really, you are going to have very specific as far as protection, something like an EMP shield, or you're going to have your stuff in a Faraday cage at the time of when this happens. Now, you can't put your entire house in a Faraday cage. You can't put your entire car in a Faraday cage. I mean, I guess you could be creative, but I don't know how many people are going to make a Faraday garage. But again, you actually have another option. There's an EMP shield. It's all handmade in Kansas. These are actual devices that can ground the signal before it can destroy your device. Now, this is one of the fastest surge protectors in the world. This isn't just one that you would get. This is on steroids. This isn't even. This doesn't actually do it in a micro or macrosecond. This does it in a picosecond. It's one of the fastest surge protectors that exists. In fact, it is so fast and it is so efficient. It is Keystone military tested, and these guys have done contracts with DHS, DOD, and of course now they are on the DEMSO team helping protect the Texas grid. So this is what they are using, and by they I mean the U.S. government and different agencies like that are using to protect themselves. When we've seen really horrible events happen, we've seen that, we're pretty much on our own. As far as Hurricane Katrina, what did the police do? Well, they bounced out and they tried to go save their own families. So if the lights do ever go out, again, the solar flare part of that, the CME part, that is a guarantee. We are due for a Carrington level event. Every 150 years on average, it's been 160. If this happened right now, we don't know what would happen. If we get a direct hit like the solar storm we just had, and it was a stronger storm, we would be screwed. Especially since the entire grid is not protected yet. They are actively working to protect of obviously important infrastructure. But will your house be protected? No. If you are stuck out somewhere, if you work far from home, you're 60 miles from your home, and your car just stops working, not a very good thing. They make a different version for, of course, your motorcycle, your RV, your car, your house. You can wire it in, and it will cover your entire house from where it's wired in. They even have a ham radio version. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. When you do so, you will get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping us out. They will send us a commission for every person that we send over there. So I really appreciate everybody that does that. Again, it's a win-win. You get a discount, and we get a commission for it. So thank you guys. Appreciate every one of you that do that. Also, they have already given out $10,000 worth of devices over the last 3 years, 2.5 years. And that is just to our audience. And that is because, again, we've basically begged them, almost every month, hey, can we do another giveaway? Not everybody can afford this. This isn't a cheap product. It's affordable for what it does. In fact, it's way valuable for what it does. It can definitely save on a lot of things, but it's not cheap. So we asked for them to do another contest. They believe that this is going to be the last one. The reason why is they've done a lot of them, and they try to do it as much as they can, But again, they've given out $10,000 worth of devices. You can go to the website and you can enter the giveaway here. There's no purchase necessary. All you have to do, they'll have lists of things that you can do and lists of ways you can enter. This is a great thing. Not only will they be giving out 3 devices, but also if you share this out with somebody and they win, you will also get a device. That is pretty cool. So again, make sure to get that. If everyone had this, we would not have a big deal if we had an EMP or of course, a CME. We would be way better off. All right, and then Dex. Of course, the investigation concludes USS Connecticut grounded on uncharted seamount in South China Sea. Do you believe this?
Well, I believe that's what they're saying. I don't know if I necessarily believe the story, but because China was so up in arms over them revealing exactly what was happening and what was with greater transparency, because they seemed to know that something was happening. But this is a good story, I guess, to spin this with.
Now, if you didn't know, China came out after this submarine hit something, and it did serious damage, and it was like a total car accident, right? If you've seen a car that totals its front end, the engine's gone. That's what this submarine looked like. And they didn't exactly say what happened. They didn't say what they hit. A lot of people were questioning, how does a multi-billion dollar submarine hit something with all of the high-tech gear that it has to see basically everything in the water, even without seeing, right? Well, China came back and they said, we want the U.S. We know that the U.S. did something wrong here. We want them to come out and tell the full story, no BS. Don't lie, tell the truth. Dex and I both guessed that they were in the South China Sea, or they were right in China's waters. Maybe they were popped up. Maybe they hit something. Maybe they hit a trap that they set in their waters. Something that was technologically advanced to where the submarine couldn't see it or something, and they caught us doing it. So then we deny it, right? And they do that, but then they also call us out, like, tell them what you really did, huh? Basically holding it over our heads. That's what I think, right? Now they're saying that it was an uncharted seamount in South China Sea. Saying it was because it wasn't charted sea floor or whatever, and it hit. It said investigators have determined that the USS Connecticut SSN-22 hit an uncharted seamount that grounded the nuclear attack submarine on the underwater feature in the South China Sea. The results of a command investigation into the October 2nd incident completed last week have now been passed up to the U.S. 7th Fleet Commander Vice Admiral Carl Thomas for review and to determine if there will be any additional accountability actions over the incident. A legislative source and 2 defense officials that are familiar with the findings told USNI News on Monday. U.S. Pacific Fleet spokesman referred USNI News to the Japan-based U.S. 7th Fleet on Monday afternoon. A message left with the U.S. 7th Fleet spokesman was not immediately returned. I love how they always add that. Basically, they didn't respond. They're not giving you nothing. They ain't giving you snuff, right? It says the damage to the forward section of the submarine damaged its ballast tanks and prompted Connecticut to make a week-long voyage on the surface from the South China Sea. That was basically the walk of shame. They hit whatever they hit in China, and then they had to put their tail between their legs and go all the way back on the top of the water because they couldn't with the ballast tank damaged, they couldn't sink. So that would be interesting. Imagine seeing this thing. Imagine being a boat or a fishing boat and watching a submarine with a damaged front end, just rolling by.
Well, and there's only 3 of these Seawolf class attack nuclear subs, and they were actually developed for deep water operations to take on the Soviet subs in the open ocean. And they've been they've been extensively upgraded over time to take care of some of the most sensitive missions, according to the Navy, right? So what's interesting is it's sitting in Guam, getting repairs done to sort of get it to a stage where they can take it someplace else. But even if they take it someplace else, all of our shipyards are busy right now. So if they bring it in, it's going to delay something else. But obviously, it's a very important ship or a very important boat to get back in the water. So,
and in Guam, just to remind you, the Iron Dome system is now on Guam, and that is because of why? Again, you can be the guesstimate on that one. And then, of course, China using stolen U.S. tech to build a military that can defeat ours, says ex-CIA officer. This is a list. This is so many officials have now come out and said this now. And this is, by the way, something that myself and others in this community have been talking about, and we've been seeing the signs and the writing on the wall, and we've been saying this for a long time, but now officials are coming out. So remember, what we were talking about in this chat and in this show months and months and years ago is now going to be water cooler talk very soon here, because it's all going to come out. We don't want to pat on the back. We're not saying we called this. The thing is that I'm letting you guys know this is all going to start coming out, and people will start believing you. So if you've been passing this information on from us, and people have been going, oh, okay, yeah, sure, just watch. The more and more officials that come out and officially say this is going on, this is what's happening, it's all going to start. It's all going to start snowballing. China is using stolen American technology against the U.S. to build a military that can defeat ours, according to a retired CIA officer. The U.S. government needs to develop a better strategy against the Chinese espionage campaign, David Sauer told the Epoch Times, sister media NTD, on Friday. It says U.S. security officials estimate that the Chinese steal between $300 billion and $600 billion a year in U.S. intellectual property, research and development, and information and technology. China has also targeted Japan, South Korea, and the European Union since the 2000 and 2001. This is what I don't get. It's like blatantly committing a fightable, warrable offense, right? And we still, we were still trading with them. We're still doing business with them, even though they're stealing from us. That's like having a crackhead mow your lawn and steal a car every time he comes over. Mows the lawn, then takes your car. You recover the car. The grass is getting long. Come on over. I don't want to do it. I don't want to mow the lawn. Let's have these guys. They're cheap. Yeah. Nah, but he's just a kid. That's his first job. He's 6. Those are nice Nikes. 7 peanuts. That's awesome. Great wages. China has also targeted Japan, South Korea, and the European Union, and is stealing that information and then integrating it into their economy and their state-owned enterprises, into their military, Sauer added. Some of the military systems look like a carbon copy of U.S. military systems. So it really saves them a lot of time, sweat, and tears in trying to develop that technology. Sauer was chief of station and deputy chief of station in both East and South Asia overseas commands positions before retiring. He explained that the Chinese government targets businessmen, academics, or students from whom they want cooperation to obtain specific technologies. Now, those people, I bet most of them don't want to cooperate. They think it's a little risky and that they might get caught and it ruin their life or their ability to function in the United States, Sauer said. But they really don't have a choice. They're dealing with an authoritarian regime and they will risk their future by saying no. So they don't. Basically saying that They target very specific people. They go after the scientists behind all of the developments. They will single them out, and they will basically blackmail them, do whatever they need to do to get them to tell the information that they need. And this is what I said, don't underestimate your enemy. Say they take our exact same blueprints, our exact same jets, which again, we saw. Dex and I showed you pictures. Dex, do you remember the jet that looked almost exactly like ours, but they tweaked it?
Oh, yeah. It looked like one of our bombers, right?
And then people say, oh, but it's made in China, so don't worry. Chinese knockoff products, even those are getting almost indistinguishable, but there's a reason why Chinese knockoff products and things like this were always cheap. They were doing it on purpose. Like Dex said, they were cutting corners on purpose. They were maximizing profit and minimizing quality. They were making just an absolute load of money. And you were buying it, and it was so cheap. It was so cheap, it got the job done, but it broke after one use. Like Harbor Freight tools. No offense. I know it's Harbor Freight. I'm sorry. But it's true.
Those are great for the weekend warrior, but they stink for the professional.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, there's a reason why people buy good tools. That's why, yeah, you buy a Chinese screwdriver, even the handle will pop off because the glue isn't on there, right? But that's not how they make the military equipment. They make some of the, and by the way, we have outsourced so many things to China, including car parts. So these same people that are saying, oh, they make crap, I bet you your American car most likely has some Chinese parts in it, and they're the ones that last longer than the American counterparts. Literally. They actually, now it's getting worse. And by the way, that's all by choice. Just saw a video that says we're in trouble now, and it showed a brake rotor that just shattered into pieces, which that's like unheard of from China. But again, this is what people were saying. And then it says Pentagon rattled by Chinese military push on multiple fronts. China's growing military muscle and its drive to end America predominance in the Asia Pacific is rattling the U.S. defense establishment. American officials see trouble quickly accumulating on multiple fronts. Beijing's expanding nuclear arsenal, and by the way, they are expanding it so fast. Dex, can you tell them about the silos and what was going on with those?
Oh, yeah, they were putting up silos quicker than we ever expected, by the hundreds, just popping in new silos.
Why would you need that many silos? And by the way, this is about the same time when it started as when 90 of their research and development nuclear scientists can't be, just replaced. These guys are taking an X on their back, basically jading themselves, possibly ruining their entire career. All 90 of them quit the same day from research and development for their nuclear. These were nuclear scientists that worked on weapons of mass destruction for China, all up and left in a single day. Other news outlets and other places around the world were all saying the same thing. Australia said it. Australia said, what happened in there? What did they not want to happen to where they quit and put an X on their back for life? What did they see? What blood did they not want on their hands for them to all quit? Some sort of nuclear disaster that they saw coming or were asked to help with. Imagine that, where they, you see a lot of people quitting over principle right now. Think about that. Think about quitting on top of losing your firefighter job. You would also never get a job doing anything. You wouldn't get a job doing a janitor position if you screw over the Chinese government. Imagine the people that are putting their boots on the Seattle City Hall, quitting and doing that, and then they walk home and they can't get a different job. That's what happens to them. Why did they do that? And building all those silos, now they're at pace. They are the largest navy in the world by over 100 ships. Some say 180 ships, more than us. That is so alarming that they are making ships that fast. Maybe they're going for quantity over quality, but now we know for a fact they've seen the products. They say that they are putting the same amount of money, the same materials, the same specs as our own. They stole our direct plans. They stole our blueprints for all of our most advanced jets. They have the littlest, tiniest, crazy secret things that you think that they didn't know about. They've got that. They hacked that. They're about to have the largest Air Force. Quote me on that.
Well, so to put it in perspective, Adam, if they're trying to have the largest Air Force, the largest Navy, they probably want to have the largest number of nukes too. And the numbers that were out, not recently, but just the numbers that people tend to track without having any further evidence. The U.S. has something like 5,500, Russia has something like 6,200, and then China has 350. So if you think about that, they've got a long way to go. In other words, we know they're going to do it, so they're going to create thousands of these. And we probably don't even know the true number, right? This is just an estimate. And I'm sure this estimate is old. It's not, right now.
Watch watch all of a sudden they went from that to 10,000 in a short amount of time. That is freaky to me. What are your opinions? Please let me know in the comments down below. Cameron Combs, thank you again for your support last show. Jordan Lee McKeon, thank you for subscribing. Georgette Monreal, thank you for your massive support of the show. Again, nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Georgette J. Monreal, I think I said that right. Thank you for going above and beyond. I appreciate that. Seraphina, thank you so much for being here and sticking around for so long. Again, seen you here for at least 2 years. Save yourselves, sheeple. Always a pleasure. Says nothing but love. Hey, it's nice to see you here again tonight. And then Project Exodus again. I appreciate you. Rusty88, thank you so much for your support as well. And then over on DLive, Major Lee Stone says hate speech, God-given Constitution protected right. Again, speaking about that UK law, it's like, who constitutes what is hate, right? It's not cliche. That people question it, but people are letting it happen. Bear Lover 92,000, thank you for gifting out a Marfia badge to Beach Barbie. CK thank you. I hope I said that right. I appreciate the diamond. Divine 1122, it is an amazing time to be alive. Earth Observer says, parents call the shots to our Lord Almighty. Earth Observer, I agree. By the way, I tweeted out something last week, and it was a crazy teacher dancing around in a Native American fake paper hat and going, Soaloa, Tumatoa, blah, blah, and it was like really bad. It was stereotypical. I'm surprised they didn't cancel her. But she was totally nuts. Sokotoa. Did you see that video, Dex?
Well, yeah, and it's used. She's used it for years, and it's used to be an extreme way for you to remember in trigonometry: sine, cosine, tangent, because that's the order you have to remember in which to apply them. And Sokotoa, sine, cosine, tangent, and it's just. I mean, I'm not excusing it, but it was like, let me do something so crazy that the students will never forget. Right, so they'll always remember the word Sokotoa, and then could turn around when they're doing their trigonometry and know that sine comes before cosine comes before tangent. There's a dozen different ways that teachers do this, and that's what she was doing. It wasn't just blatantly being a crazy woman, but yeah.
I had no problem with the native part. She was legitly looking like she was on lithium. Again, did you see the whole clip of what she says?
Yeah, I watched it, and it was pretty intensely crazy, but I think that was part of her act. But yeah, and I think I've also heard that she's done this for years, but she's now gone or on administrative leave, I heard.
Wow, I'm surprised. Either way, it triggered me to say something. I was trying to find it here. I said, I was basically just talking about teachers in general. let's see here. I basically said that parents should have no say. I just couldn't believe it. It was a Babylon B level sarcasm. And I said, parents should have no say what goes into their kids, what is taught to their kids, what is injected into their kids, anything, blah, blah, blah. And I said it like that. And then she has her teacher name on the wall with a big apple that says Reed, R-E-E-D. And I said, you know, it's because they can read. You know, we should give teachers full power and permission to control our kids because they can read with 2 E's. And all these people believed that I don't see how you would see a post like that and think it was real. I didn't understand that. I've noticed that I've done some like really over the top, and I purposely add something that should trigger like, oh, that's sarcasm. And people don't see it anymore. Sarcasm has like left the building. People don't get it. And that's why people are attacking Babylon B. Because now satire and sarcasm is now fake news. It blows me away. I don't understand how people take everything so literal on Twitter. And people could say, well, it looks different in text. No. If you read that in text and have, you must understand context, right? Read it carefully. Read it 3 times. Been on a Foogle News binge after being out of town. Hey, Brendan Henschel, nice to see you, man. I don't know how anybody binges us, but thank you so much. Zippy Moons, again, thank you. I hope you watched the replay. This was a good one. And then Renegade Petey, Lady Lexi, and of course Charlie64, and For the Glory of Christ. Thank you. Scooby-Doo right? Appreciate to see you again. Lady Green Eyes and One Up B. Super surprised at the how people do not see that. And then tailless fighter-like airframe spotted at Chinese jet manufacturer's test airfield. It says the objects in question looked very much like a tailless fighter design, similar to the US X-44 Manta and the new NGAD concepts. It says Chengdu Aircraft Corporation is one of 2 preeminent fighter manufacturers in China and arguably the best known these days. It has 2 indigenous fighter designs in production that currently serve the People's Liberation Army, the J-10 single-engine midweight fighter and the J-20 heavy stealth fighter. The J-20 still arguably stands as China's most stunning manned aircraft achievement, and the development of it as the country's first stealth fighter continues to evolve to this very day. Yet that is certain to change in the not-so-distant future as China continues its rapid expansion of air combat capabilities. Manufacturing know-how, and it says satellite images the war zone recently obtained, dated October 29, 2021, of the company's flight test airfield, which is located adjacent to its plant in the namesake city, is indicative of this. It shows 5 J-20s on the ramp, 18 J-10s, and a couple of drones, and one very unusual airframe like no other. So let's see if do we have a zoomed in version of this? Yeah. Let's see if it has. So you may not be able to see that these are all jets right here. You can see my mouse, I'm hoping. There is a huge tailless aircraft there. Right here. It's gigantic. Look at that thing. What is that? By the way, Dex, that is a one of their things, right? Look at how big it is.
Adam, what I was saying is we were just talking about the China stealing U.S. technology. The X-44 Manta is allegedly built by Skunk Works. And if you go down, you'll see photographs, or not photographs, but I guess compositions of what the X-44 would look like. And then compare that to what you're seeing on the ground here in China. And it almost backs up this whole notion that, they are stealing IP. They are stealing tech, and this is probably where the U.S. generals and whatnot are getting their opinions from.
Wow, look, I mean, that's identical. Look at that jet, though. That looks like an alien ship.
Yeah, and this is a prototype, or a Skunk Works built by Lockheed and the Skunk Works, or designed by them. We don't know if it's ever been out. It's one of those things, sort of like the other one that we were talking about earlier, the other X-plane, that we don't know if it's real or not, other than speculation.
I'm just wondering, how does this turn? There's no traditional, I guess, with thrusters, right? Just an insane looking plane.
It probably has a lot of micro flaps on it, like the stealths do.
I guess it's so aerodynamic that a little tiny flap could change the. Wow. The guys that are flying these are got to be the aces, the badasses, right? Look at that. And then just and then somebody commented the drones are on the left. The pictures above, we also talked about how they turned all of these old Soviet jets, and by old, 20, 30 years old, they go Mach, they're fast. They turned into unmanned jets that are basically, could be used as kamikazes, only no loss of life. Think about that. A Mach speed drone with all of the weapons that any jet 20 years ago would have had. These things can destroy buildings. They can they could do nukes. They can do tactical nukes. And who knows if they can load the hypersonic or a smaller type supersonic missile onto a manless drone, there'd be no risk. They could send it right in, and if it does get destroyed, it does. No loss of life. And they could probably even put a payload in it, so if it does explode, it does damage. Who knows? So, pretty crazy stuff. And then Australia confiscating bank accounts, property license, and businesses for non-compliance with the fines. People should be paying attention to Australia. I don't know why. Australia is such a close ally of the United States. It is personally working with the UK. It is working with all this. Some feel it's a test run. Dex, do you think that they are doing it there to see how it might work out?
Yeah, it's like you see it in Australia, and then you sort of see it tested in Canada, and then it might actually happen here, right? That's sort of the path that I try to look at on these things. But when you see these things in other basically free countries, you need to understand that it could be here in a matter of overnight, right?
Well, it's like they can. Big Gaz says, poor Australia. Yeah. People are getting tickets for going into a park by their house, like in front of their house. Think about that. They could perfect the ways that they do things. They can study the way that people responded. Humans are humans. So they watch how people respond. They perfect it. They trial and error their responses and then take it to a bigger market. It's almost like a sale, right? Or like they're selling to a market. They take a smaller test group. Blues Girl.
The people are powerless there. They don't have a Second Amendment.
They don't. They have no weapons to defend themselves. They have no way to. Unbelievable. The only people that have the pews are the people that in power. Totalitarian state, says Silver Bullet. Red Ox Bearer, it's bad in Canada too. I can't go to restaurants or the gym. I can't get on a train or plane. Yeah. And now kids and all this other stuff, it's just unbelievable. At least 10,300 New York City workers resist as the deadline approaches. Now the deadline is hit. This number has gone up, I'm sure. Dax, we're seeing this across the country. It's not just New York City. It's all over.
Oh yeah, but I mean, think about it. It's like, entire fire departments are temporarily closed right now, and many of them, right? And like you said, in your city, the police force is, for multiple reasons, no longer as large as it used to be, by a significant number. So that's causing, other, the opposite of policing to go up, right? Crime goes up. You've got garbage piling up because there's not sanitation workers to pick it up, right? All of these things we're going to see over the next few days and weeks across the nation. I think we'll see lots of these different effects of what this mandate has to play for the rest of America.
For the first time ever, I've seen there's 25 cars outside one of the police stations, and I'm like, I was blown away. They're usually not there during the day because they're out and about. There's the backup lot of the cars that are always there, right? The front area, which I drove by this thing for 10 years. There was never cars there. Those are the cars that are, trooper cars. Those troopers aren't there. Those police officers are not there. So their vehicle's staying at the place. Those are police that are not on the beat, right? Those are police not responding to your home robbery. They're police that are not responding to your package theft or whatever. They don't barely respond to that anyways. The response times, I wonder after today, what are these response times going to look like? I would love to see the data on that. If you have information on data on your city and you actually find data for this over the next coming months, let me know. I would love to see the actual effect of this. And then Craig Alicia says, remember the Chinese Air Force propaganda video a few months ago? It has that plane at the very end under a sheet. Oh, Craig Alicious, good job. That's right. Dex, I don't know if you remember that, but that propaganda video had that plane under, I want to say it is that plane or that jet. And we talked about it because it was questioned if that was the stolen intellectual property. Good job, Craig Alicious. Did I lose you, Dex?
No, I'm here. I was just trying to find a picture of that.
Oh, sweet. Let's show. Shoot, you might be. Oh, this is a great point to actually bring this up. So on our website, you have a search bar at the top, or a search kind of, magnifying glass. What is so cool is, so when we take the actual transcript, YouTube takes this entire thing. Everything I'm saying right now is automatically on every YouTube video taken for the captions. What's even cooler is they give you the opportunity to download your own transcript. Now, they're using it for the algorithm. They're using it for everything else. They're using it for that closed caption. That's why sometimes you can even get closed caption on live videos, right? It will show you down below. But definitely on the replay. They let you download that transcript. Dex actually can put it on the website, and we've been archiving that. So say I say, the cardboard box is blue. If you search the cardboard box is blue, it will bring you on our website to this episode, to this thumbnail, to everything. So when you search that in that bar, it actually brings you to this episode. So I've been thinking about a way that we could do that, like a code word we could say every show, to where you could search this show and go back retrospectively. Like, go to the website, you'll get all the links for this show. I thought about that. Because if it's a strange and crazy word that it actually picks up, then you could find the show right away. But either way, use that. So if you remember a story that we talked about, try to paraphrase it as much as you can, and it will most likely show you that show. At least for the last year, or a little bit over a year. So again, that's something we do for you. Thank you for everybody that has helped us and support us. Which, by the way, there are a number of people over the last week that have popped over and did PayPal. I just want to say a special thank you to you. Kevin C., you guys are my dinner date most weeknights here in Kauai. Love is inside and all around us. Chris G., thank you so much for going over there. Alan O., massive support over on PayPal. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Paloma L., thank you. Someone has to. You and Dex have helped my family be better prepared. Been with you since the car videos too. Bobby R., again, thank you. Andrea R.M., thank you for what you and Dex do. Well, thank you, Andrea M. And then on Blue Homemade Heaven, thank you for your support over there. Linda P., I appreciate you. Diane M., thank you for your support over on PayPal. Linda P., again, thank you. Diane M., I appreciate you. Jamie B., I appreciate you. Mrs. M. says, thanks, Adam, Dex, and Mods for keeping it real always. And then Kazuko G. says, thank you guys for everything you do. And Gone Girl 777. Much love, Foogle fam, and Adam, Dex, Mods, and wives. Gone Girl, I hope you are good wherever you are. I know that you've been dealing with a lot. But again, you're Foogle fam for life. Thank you so much for going above and beyond. You know you don't have to. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Dex, tell us about the web only. Got some crazy stuff over there.
Absolutely. So if you're on YouTube, just look in the description, click the first link there. It says show notes. It'll take you directly to this page. Scroll down to web only content. Otherwise, type in marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, and go down to web only content. You'll find the rest of the show, the rest of the story, everything else we can't talk about. Two-sided, didn't make the cut. But there's plenty there for you. So there's obviously a big event going on politically tomorrow in certain states. Every state seems to have something on there that people need to pay attention to, but there's a couple of big ones. Lots of other conversations there going on. Even Elon is throwing down against one of the cities in Texas, specifically Austin. So go find out what's happening there. You can learn what our current administration was doing during the summit that he's attending. Kind of funny. And then plenty more there to be talked about, including some crazy rumors there at the very end, which I won't say on air. But go take a look, marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, scroll down to web-only content, and get the rest of the story.
Now, remember, over here, we've got all that content. Make sure to share this out with friends and family. It's a great thing that you can actually share out, and they have a wealth of course, stories, all of the stuff from today. And, of course, it's basically everything that is happening on the real side of things. So, again, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you. Viticus Rising says, every empire goes through a rise, a golden age, stagnation, degradation, and eventually collapse. A collapse is a process and not an event. I agree with you there as far as we've seen almost every society and every major society see its kind of downturn. That's why it's alarming that so many countries are calling us the next Rome. Sparky's Run says, love you, Marf, Dex, and guys, spot on again. Thanks for keeping us informed. Tomorrow night is a call-in show, so remember, tune in tomorrow. Again, tomorrow night, get in early. Here is the number, 224-400-MARF. That number you can call tomorrow, and you will be able to get us live. Show will be a little bit earlier tomorrow night. Expect around 6:30 to 7. And thank you, everybody. Much love. It is now officially time for the shoutro. Dex, how much time do we got?
We have about 5 to 6 minutes.
All right. After the live goes from here, it will go right over to Marfoogle Jams. We right at 2 hours cut it, so see you guys later. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout-out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most with my silly on-the-spot music. Thank you.
News yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. We do the days news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. We do the days news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. We do the days get involved with the Saul Rosenberg in the Rusty 88, that Gen X dude in the cloak cloud. Hey, babe, going right back 88, right back round everybody fake. Seth Covington, thank you for your support tonight. I appreciate you so much. Seth Covington, let's make it a little bit of Seth. Seth Covington, on the back now. Gonna bring it back on the back now. Seth Covington, he's back now. Seth Covington, back now. Seth Covington, he's back now. Seth Covington, back now. Seth Covington, he's back now. Seth Covington, back now. Seth Covington, he's back now. Seth Covington, back now. Seth they be taking our country down. Doesn't matter if you're born white, black, or brown. I hope too you'll soon be getting down. All I see is people standing around. Meanwhile, they be taking our country down. Doesn't matter if you're born white, black, or brown. I hope too you'll soon be getting down.
All I see is people
Standing around.
meanwhile they be taking our country down. Doesn't matter if you're born white, black, or brown. I hope too you'll soon be getting down. All I see is people standing around. Meanwhile they be taking our country down.
Doesn't matter if you're born white, black, or brown. I hope too you'll soon be getting down. All I see is people standing around. Meanwhile, they be taking our country down. Today's news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. We do today's news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. We do today's news yesterday, that's how we do it the Marfoogle way. I got the real surgery, big gas, everybody got a real. Hey, James Paladin and the Jordan Bear, a Dex Jago and that you know there. Lisa All Wendy on the beat, Crop Duster and the Charlie. 64, hey little Tisha, on the hisser. Hey little sister, Hector one misser, never miss ya. I roll la Honda, going back now it's a grande. With the AK 907 Bakke, with the Lockay, on that door where the deal Huff Nako, and the Albert K fill up say ho. I never with the C note 88. Oh now Big I Leo Rusty 88. Oh now Muffin on the fun time. With the Roman Wolf, everybody fun time. Kick it back